Ever wonder why the people you trust most start whispering when you enter the room? I'm Agnes, 65 now. But 15 years ago, that nagging curiosity turned my world inside out, unraveling a tapestry of love into threads of deceit so tangled it took years to breathe free again. Let me take you back, step by deliberate step, through every shadowed corner, every whispered plot, every heartbeat of suspense that led to the twist that nearly ended me on the grace that rebuilt me from the rubble. It began on a crisp September morning in 2010. In our sleepy hollow nestled among endless rows of apple trees that my husband Victor and I had planted with our own blistered hands over for decades. The orchard spanned 50 acres, a living legacy from Victor's grandfather, who struck modest gold in those trees during the Depression. Victor, tall and weathered like the oldest oaks, had been my rock since I was 19. Marrying me in a simple church with vows that echoed in sickness and health. Till death do us part. We raised 4 children there. Marcus, the eldest at 28, sharp-eyed and ambitious, always talking big about modernizing the farm. Faye, 26, our meticulous bookkeeper with a smile that could charm bees from hives. Nora, 24, the nurturing soul who filled our home with the scent of apple pies and Sunday roasts. And Owen, the baby at 20, quiet and strong, forever mending fences and tractors with greased hands and unwavering loyalty. Life was a rhythm of seasoned spring blossoms, summer harvests, fall cider presses, winter firesides where Victor would read psalms aloud, his gravelly voice wrapping us in warmth. We were unbreakable. Or so I believed, with the naive faith of a woman who'd never known a crack in her foundation. Victor's death shattered that illusion on a foggy dawn in late October. I'd woken early to brew coffee, the kind he liked, black and scalding, only to hear a thud from the barn loft like a felled tree. Rushing out in my nightgown, slippers sinking into mud, I found him sprawled below, neck twisted unnaturally, eyes staring blankly at the rafters. A ladder lay toppled nearby, tools scattered as if he'd slipped while fixing a beam. The coroner ruled it accidental. Middle-aged men fall from lofts all the time, he said, especially after a long harvest. No autopsy pushed. Insurance paid out $500,000 swiftly, enough to cover debts and keep the orchard afloat. The kids rallied like I'd prayed they would. Marcus took charge immediately, hugging me tight at the sparse graveside service under gray skies. Mama, the orchard's safe in my hands now. We'll thrive. Faye handled the paperwork, her organized lists a comfort. Nora cooked mountains of casseroles, fussing over my weight loss, while Owen buried his grief in silent repairs. Morning wove us closer. Christmas came with a tree Victor would have loved, ornaments twinkling as we toasted his memory. But even then, curiosity flickered a faint unease when Marcus mentioned loans for upgrades, papers I'd sign without reading through tears. The first real shadows crept in that winter, subtle as frost on window pane. Marcus announced expansions, new tractors, irrigation systems, a packing shed to boost profits. The market's changing, Ma. We gotta keep up, he'd say, presenting documents thick as Bibles. Faye would nod. Ledger in hand, it's all accounted for, trust us, I'd sign. My hand shaky from grief, believing family blood ran thicker than ink. Nora portioned my meals smaller. You're eating for one now. Ma, and her eyes lingered on the silverware drawer where Victor's sapphire necklace rested, a heirloom from his mother, appraised once at $25,000 for its flawless blue fire. Owen stayed quiet, but he'd linger in the shed longer, avoiding my questions about the equipment deliveries that never seemed to arrive. Savings dipped. I noticed checks written to cash in Faye's neat script, but she waved it off. Supplies. Ma, harvest overruns. Curiosity stirred mildly then. Like a distant thunder rumble, why no receipts? Why did Marcus's truck roar off to the city at odd hours? Spring bloomed with promise. But suspicion simmered into awareness. One rainy April afternoon, I'd been pruning trees, mud caking my boots, when Faye left her purse on the kitchen table amid recipe cards. Curiosity won. Rifling through lipstick tubes and mints, my fingers closed on bank slips. There it was. Our orchard deed pledged as collateral for a $200,000 loan from a shady lender in the city, interest rates usurious. Names listed, Marcus and Faye as primary borrowers. Heart pounding like a startled rabbit, I pocketed one slip, hands trembling. That night, under cover of drizzle, I tailed Marcus in my old pickup, headlights off, bumping along back roads to the creek where willows wept into the water. He met a slick lawyer type under lantern light cheap suit, cigar smoke curling. I crouched behind brambles, ears straining. Mom's signature forged already perfect replica of her wobble. Once we place her in that upstate home for the senile, we sell the whole kit. Insurance from Victor covers the down payment. Marcus laughed low. She's crumbling anyway. Owen's on board. Nora gets the necklace. Betrayal's first icy stab pierced deep. I drove home shaking, rain masking tears. Locks jiggling in my mind like ghostly warnings. Family, thieves in my nest. Suspense coiled tighter with each passing week. A noose of dread tightening around my throat. Anonymous notes began appearing slipped under my door at dawn. Typed without signature, leave quietly, or lose it all. The orchard isn't yours anymore. I'd wake at 2 a.m. 2 footsteps, circling the house. Gravel crunching softly, shadows dancing past sheer curtains like specters. The kids insisted on changing the locks for your safety after that near fall. You had last month, Marcus said, referencing a trip on the porch steps I'd barely noticed. Owen installed cameras everywhere, claiming prowlers after but they pointed inward at my bedroom window, the kitchen door. Nora hovered constantly, brewing teas laced with herbs. You look so tired, Ma. These will help you sleep, Faye tallied. Endless expenses for my care, nursing assessments. Medications I never took, siphoning the last of savings I'd squirreled since Victor courted me with wildflowers at 18. Confrontations fizzled into gaslighting. You're imagining things, Ma. Just like Dad's accident. Marcus soothed, eyes cold as creek stones. Nora cooed, grief plays tricks. Owen mumbled excuses. Wrench in hand. Paranoia. No, Providence sharpening my senses. I'd hide the notes in a floorboard under my bed, alongside Victor's old watch and the bank slip. Nights blurred into vigilance, barricading doors with chairs, sleeping with a flashlight and kitchen knife. One midnight, peering from the attic vent, I saw them: Marcus, Faye, Nora. Owen huddled in the barn, blueprints spread under a single bulb. Phase 2, up the meds so she signs willingly. Victor says push the slip accident soon, Faye whispered. Victor, my dead husband. Curiosity ignited into inferno. Who'd they invoke him for? Tension peaked under a blood moon in October 2011. Exactly a year after his fall, they called an emergency family meeting while I feigned flu, shivering in bed with a hot water bottle. Slipping out barefoot, I crawled to the root cellar beneath the kitchen, dust choking my throat, heart hammering against ribs. Pressing my ear to the cold grate, voices filtered down clear as Judgment Day.